Oh, whenever you're ready, John, we're live.
Okay, well, welcome everybody. Welcome everybody on Zoom and everybody on Facebook. Today we have Bob back in again, and we could do something a little bit different again today. You can ask your questions anytime you want to ask them. So there were a lot of questions, actually more questions than I could get to Bob. So if you're on Facebook, we will relay those messages to Bob directly. And if you're on Zoom, you can just unmute and ask your questions. So what Bob is going to show is the water-soluble oils being used with watercolors. And one of the big questions was, well, how does that work? And it's because the watercolor, the water-soluble oil is in such a small amount that it works very well with the watercolor. I think that's one thing that Bob is going to explain today as he does finishes up his first artwork and starts on a second artwork. Hello, Pamela. So with that, Bob, thank you so much for coming back again today.
Yeah, you're welcome, sir.
I've asked the viewers just to ask you questions directly. So anytime they want to start asking questions, anytime you want to start with your continued demo, that's fine.
Yeah, my plan is to finish this painting. We can call it Aqua Nova. I call it Aqua Nova. That's my name for this mix of watercolor and water soils. So let's make with the second wash. I will change, of course, the camera. I'm not that important, but so second wash I will use it is almost on the same way as the first wash, and that's it. Backside of your paper, take wash brush, take enough water, and then you make that very, very wet. You have to mind that, of course, from the front page, we have now, of course, a coating. A coating of what? A coating of linseed oil, transparent blender, pigments, and all kind of stuff. So what are you doing here is that you, a little bit with some patience, well, you make it so wet that the sides of the paper become completely flat. So see, this is not ready enough. So what are you doing? You make it once again wet, and you, okay, look at now, starts to become wet enough. And if it's all wet enough, and if it's soft enough, then I can turn it. Okay. Here not.
Oh, would it be possible to use the blender with only watercolors?
Of course.
Yes.
Of course.
So
that's if you want to paint something more thick, you can use it. You can use it 1-to-1. You don't lose the strength of colors 1-to-1. But if you want to make, of course, a little bit lighter, then you can mix it 60-40 or even more. Okay. This is the front side, and now this front side is the first time I start to make wet from the middle to the sides. Why? Then I don't have bubbles, so that's why I'm doing that. And this is completely wet. Of course, it's not dry, and it was dry in the after 2 days. And I'm, of course, pressing a little bit here and pressing a little bit there. But as you see, it's very clear. I don't lose anything of my colors here on the painting, on my Aqua Nova. I'm making wet once again. And everything is well completely wet as I want. And what I'm doing now, I'm drying here. Okay, this part is a little bit more. And I take, once again, same as the first time, some of transparent blender. I make it more, a little bit wet, and I cover everything again. Why I do that, I will show you what's the reason. But it's transparent, you cannot see it, and everything is still wet. And I know now I have 40 minutes, 1 hour to do everything I want. Okay, what do I want? I want to make here something like well, smoke on the water. I said, told to John, well, make it more dark here. It's for me too light, and it is this spot, you know, the sun, the low sun should be more bright. So I need some little bit more yellow here. And here is too dark, and I will put more white or light, smoky. So it's mean some French ultra mixed with Vitalo and meat with white, and then I make out some kind of smoky color. So let's start with this. I have here a little bit more transparent blender. So maybe I will need it. And here I start with my color. My colors, this is well titanium white. I will use now Indian yellow, a little bit for light.
Bob, in your book, do you talk about the transplant blender?
Yeah, in the books is everything, you know. I comment all water oil colors, all of them. I covered everything, and I explained what you can do with transparent blender of fast drying medium. But I will show you in the second part what can you do with transparent blender. And it's very nice stuff to do something very special. But well, that will come later. Anyhow, this is well Indian, and I use quinacridone sienna. It's a fantastic color. It's a pure sun. A little bit more. And as you know, I do that always because I try to find on my palette, just well, exactly the color I want, and actually, well, of course, the strength I want. This is the sunny part, and this is well smoky part, so it's white and French. But French is maybe too warm, so I need a little bit cooler version, and this means I take some phthalo blue, and what do I get is the ultramarine green shade. That's it. This is a one color, this is a cold color, and I can mix. And of course, what can I do? I can add some white to make it more lighter. And what's going to happen? Then I take a brush. This is a quite soft brush. It should be a little bit wet, so you don't put it completely in the jar. Just a little bit wet. Take some, also a little bit color, first to dry, and then you start very. Okay.
Yes, wants to know what are the ingredients included in the transparent blender. Do you know anything, Bob?
No. This I cannot answer that. I think well, John has to do it.
Yeah.
John,
Yes.
what's inside?
What are the ingredients included in the transparent blender? Claudia Diaz wants to know.
You could look at the SDS would be the best way. Otherwise, it's formulation, which I'm not going to go over formulation.
But okay, look at it. That was completely dark.
Hi, John. This is Claudia. I don't want to know the formula, but I just want to know if there's oil in there, how much oil, or what is the purpose to use the transparent blender in the painting. My concern is that if the ground is not for oil, that is not gesso or is watercolor paper, how does they react each other with the watercolor and the oil?
So the
I have
watercolor,
a question for the ingredients, because it's very important for the artist to know the percentage of oil or what kind of oil to see how much time is gonna take to dry, or how is it gonna adhere to the ground that you're using, in this case paper or gesso. So
Sure.
that's my question.
yes, but I'll send that back to you specifically. That's, and anybody else that wants to see that. But the ground is actually an acrylic polymer. Gesso is an acrylic polymer. They have very close similarities, except for the watercolor ground also is permeable by water. But I will get back to you on that.
Yes, but transparent blender is like an oil painting and water soluble oil without pigment, or what is it?
Yes, it's without pigment. Yes, that's a good way of looking at it. It is without pigment.
So it's
Yeah.
like the same ratio of oil that the water soluble oils have?
No, so it's not a linseed, right? It's not a linseed. We sell the modified linseed oil for water soluble paints. It isn't that. So let me get back to you on that. If that's okay.
Thank you. And I have a question for Thomas. What is the purpose, or why do you use this medium, this transparent blender, to coat your painting? What do you gain, or why do you use it?
There are a couple of reasons. For instance, in Aqua Nova, as I do here, I know that I can, if my paper is dry, and I have a layer of transparent blender on it, I can very easily make that wet without problem. So, and you can leave it well in 10 minutes, 15 minutes. If you want to spray it, it's okay. If you make it more wet, it's okay. So it makes for me much easier to do it. The other things, as you see, probably I take a little bit of transparent blender, I take a little bit of white, and I can cover dark parts with a light color. You want it, you get it. It's no problem. This is of course different than in watercolor, but this is something like, for me, you know, acrylic colors are too heavy for me, and this is still transparent, and this is still, for instance, I covered this part, dark part, with some kind of smoke. But if I want to wash that, and if I want to recall cold of dark color, I can wash it. So it's no problem. You don't want it? No problem. You can get it back. And look at it. It's completely clear. You don't lose anything of color strength. And you can, of course, repeat that as much as you want. And there I need, for instance, I need some spot. I need some light spot. I can get it. I need some more. I mean, this, for instance, too warm for me. I want some mist color. Okay, I can do it. No problem. It's gone.
So Bob, there's a question that says, how do you decide which paint should be watercolor and which one should be the water soluble oil? Is it based on the upper layers and transparency?
No, no, this is a matter of feeling. This is a really matter of feeling because, well, I think that the colors for me, this is of course craft. You know how to do it, you know how to recall it, you know how to cover it. But the colors are emotions. And you say, well, you know, I need more warm because this evening is, well, oh no, it should be some more warm. And that's different, you know, this is now completely different. But it's the same. The pigment, I think you can agree with me, here and there, the pigment is the same pigment. Only the glue here and there is different. Is that true, John?
One more time, please. The
Here
Yeah.
in water soils and in watercolors, the pigments are the same.
That's correct.
Yeah, only the glue, here's a linseed oil, modified linseed oil, and here is, well, Arabic gum.
So the binder is gum arabic in the watercolors, and it's modified linseed oil in the water-soluble oils. That's correct.
And that's all. That's all what's different, isn't it?
That's the difference is the binder between the oils and the watercolors. That's correct.
Exactly. And then you can choose. Well, of course, you have bigger choice in watercolors, you know, 238, and here's about, you know, 40. So if you miss something in the range of oils, you can always add watercolor. But can you mix it? Yes. Is it a huge difference in it? No. Can you mix it everything with the transparent blender? Yes. Can you paint it only with watercolor and transparent blender? Yes. Can you only paint with transparent blender and oils? Yes. So, in fact,
my question is, I don't understand. Well, for a watercolor, the ground that the paper, you use paper because the gum arabic is going to stick to the paper, and when you are painting with oils, you have to have your ground prepared, and yes, so the oils stick to the ground. So my question is, how do you manage in conservation terms, or how can you be sure that your work is going to last 10, 15 years, 20 years, if the grounds are different for watercolor and for oil?
Yeah.
That's like my confusion or my question.
Yes.
I can see working each other together because they are different mediums and they react different to the circumstances.
Yes. You know, probably I'm one, not probably, but I'm one of the first artists that in that time, and that's, we are talking about 1999, got the first set of water oils to try to see is that something or not, and that was a big secret. But okay, I did it, and it's now 22 years that I'm working with water soluble oil colors, and I can tell you, nothing changed in the meantime. Aqua Nova from that time, in the first you know years as well, talking about year 2000, this is still good. This is still same. You can spray it with varnish or not. You can leave it or not, but no any different. No, nothing in a color or a shape of anything. Of it doesn't become yellowish, you know, or any change. On the technical point of view, no any change in 20 years. Okay, I think the guarantee of those colors is on about 100. So after 100 years, we will see what happened.
Hey Bob, can I ask you a question that I think is being asked? So there's a question about using the oils and the watercolor on watercolor paper or using them on canvas. I think the point of clarity is, if it's a good watercolor paper, then it has sizing. And if it's a good watercolor paper, that sizing is itself archival. So you're putting watercolor or water soluble oil on top of an archival paper. If we talk about canvas and the canvas has a good sizing, that sizing on the canvas is archival. So if you put the water-soluble oil or the watercolor, you're putting it again on an archival surface. Okay, so there's more than one thing going on. There's the product itself, the Daniel Smith, which is has properties, and there's also the paper, which has properties. Hope that
Yes,
answers.
but my point there is if you paint with oils in paper, the oil is gonna go to the paper and it's not gonna serve the function that is intended in order to be like the binder for the pigment. If you use a paper, the oil is gonna go all the way to the paper.
So if it's a watercolor paper, it should not
Right.
go all the way through the paper because
oil?
because it will have sizing on the paper. So Bob is using watercolor paper. He's not just using regular paper.
No, for
So
example,
it's very important. It's very important to make, of course, paper wet and then thin layer of transparent blender on top of it. So this is your protection. This is your helping hand. This is your friend. This has to be, brought on the paper. Then you can change everything. Then you can add everything that you can make wet. You don't see it, but it is a huge help. And of course, because it's oils, if you don't do it, this is like a cotton. This is the same if you will, eat Chinese food, and this and then some oil drops on your cloth. You cannot wash it in a second moment. So, well, if you don't do it, if you don't cover it, if you don't have protection from the paper, because paper is a cotton, of course, you will not be able to remove, for instance, let me show you now. For instance, I paint now this, okay? And I don't like it, and I can remove everything. Why? Because I have protection, I have coating. That's it. That's the magic.
mhm. But
You
what
want
I
it to get it. You don't want it to change it.
Yes, but what I understand, for example, I use Arches paper for watercolor, and Arches has a paper for oil. If you use oil with the watercolor Arches paper, the oil is gonna sink, it's gonna go through the fibers of the paper because it's cotton. It's like if you have a cotton cloth and you stain with oil, the oil is gonna stain the paper. So that's why I don't understand why do you use oil? Well, I understand that the transparent blender has some kind of oil. I don't know what kind of oil it has, or linseed oil or any other kind of oil. Even if it's modified, if it's water soluble, it's gonna be oil at the end, isn't it, John?
Yeah, there's no difference between a traditional oil and the water-soluble oil, and except that the water-soluble linseed oil has been modified to accept water.
Right, but at the end, it's gonna be an oil. So an oil, it's gonna go into the fibers of the paper and it's gonna stain the paper. Oh, and it's not gonna react as if you have a well-prepared ground to paint for oils. So for example, Arches has two different kinds of paper, the watercolor paper and also the oil paper that is prepared with other process in order to accept the oil paintings. So that's like my confusion or my question.
Sure, it's really, it's a really good question. I understand what you're saying. It's using two different products in a painting technique. And so when you're using a oil paper, what you're using something is non-permeable, and it doesn't have to be permeable because you're using oil. Whenever you're using a watercolor, it has to be permeable because water has to have something to go into. So Bob, and Bob is using watercolor paper. So Bob, maybe you can flip your painting over so people can see the back side of your paper. Okay, so he's using a paper that has sizing on it, and the oil is not penetrating the sizing. Right, you can see the back side of it. Can you show him one more time?
Yeah.
So it's not going through. It's a great question. And I think it's a really interesting process because you're using, even Angela asked this question, and so did several people on the other side, which is, it's just something which is different. Normally, you don't use oils in watercolor. So it's just a different process that Bob is using. It's a great question.
Yes, right. And for example, if with this technique, if the oils are the same, you can use also the regular oils?
If you use the regular oils, they're not going to be water soluble. So kind of the thing about the water soluble, you can mix water soluble with oils and they're going to look exactly the same. However, you'll lose the property of being able to wet them and or clean your brushes with water.
Bob, hello, Bob.
Yes.
Hi, it's Alice. Bob, you put some crayon now, something is yellow. What was this?
Yeah, those crayon. Yeah, you can use that also too. Yeah.
Is it a pastel?
No, this is
This is
Watercolor
stick.
stick.
watercolor stick. It's watercolor stick.
Ah,
And
okay.
if you need some spots, or some maybe like here, a little bit more intense
Okay.
color, you can use it. And then of course you can think, oh, it's too strong, it's too thick or something of anything. You can soften that by with the brush. It's very easy. So I need, of course, white spot needs some yellow sparks. So you use a little bit of yellow and then you soften it, and that's it. It's very simple. But well, you can use everything. You can use everything on paper, but also on canvas. So that was it. Well, you see, you can add things, you can change things. If you're not satisfied, you can wash that. You can recall. You can, of course, you can say, oh no, I need here my dark spot. Oh, dark spot is a shadow, so I need a little bit more there. Some light color. Okay, light color. Oh, I need their light color, their light color. So you can do everything you want. No limits, and that's what beautiful. It's beautiful, and of course it's relaxing because you can do it 1 hour. If you spray it a little bit more, yeah, that's well. And the colors are of course stronger because of also a transparent blender. Transparent blender makes colors. If you mix it with color, you don't lose the strength of the color, but you make more volume. And that's sometimes it's nice. Sometimes it's nice. I will show you that. I will show you what's happened on canvas. This is the wash. I can continue, of course, to make it more dark here, more light here, but I can do and change everything. Yeah, till the moment you say, well, I'm satisfied, and this is okay now. Any question about that?
Yeah, on that subject, Bob, when you've finished,
Yeah.
you've got lots of different mediums on your paper now. When do you know when it's at the point where it's an oversaturation and you've overdone it, or I can take it a little bit farther with the oils, or maybe I can take it a bit more farther with. When do you decide to actually say that's it, no more?
You don't see it that this is not a pure watercolor. You cannot see it. Nobody can see it. No, nobody can see it that this is, well, it could be, of course, a very thick watercolor, something like a pure color, and you get, well, a strong brush and you bring it on. But it looks the same with oil, with water oils, and with watercolor. It's completely the same. so you cannot see it, actually. And when, yeah, how? Yeah, you know, I would like it to explain you in a couple of sentences, well, all my experiences in 20 years, but I think it's not possible. You have to practice. You have to practice, and maybe it's well to start with small pieces, you know, and then go bigger, 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 bigger. But well, then you know which kind of brush and what's the timing and how much water and which medium and this kind of stuff. But well, how to explain you that, you know, this is now one medium. This is of course well the most important medium, I think, transparent blender, because it gives our chance to cover, to make it stronger, to recall all those kind of stuff. But well, yeah, you have to do it with or without texture, and then you see the difference. You know, what's the difference? The strand of color. Nobody can tell you, yeah, you have to do it with this color and that much.
So Bob,
Maybe I like it. Maybe you don't. We
no,
don't
it's
know.
great. I love it. It's got a real feel of motion and expression in it. Would you call what you do mixed media, or would you prefer it to be called an oil?
I call it aqua.
Right.
There you go. There you go.
That's my name, you know. You may give it some other name. That doesn't matter what's in the name. But this is it is mixed, absolutely. It is mixed. It's only just well, something very, very new, but it works fantastic. It works well, really, really beautiful. Yeah.
Hey, Bob, I have
I
several
think I
questions
feel
for you.
that people like so much to learn from you, and maybe when you start your second demo, we can leave the questions for the end because
Yes. Okay.
they want to hear you all the time.
Okay.
Wonderful idea.
Okay, guys. Then I will remove this one.
What is your work surface?
Oh, this is just a plastic, you know, it's a plastic board. This is well, could be cheap. This one is cheap one, but you can buy also a very glossy and good one. They call it Perspex, you know, something like that. But anyhow, it's well, you can I can do it on my table too. You know, it's just well, just easier to clean my my palette here. That's
How do you frame your artwork when you're done? Do you put it against a hard substrate, or do you spray it and hang it, or put it behind glass? How do you do that at the end when you're finished?
yeah. That's well, when you have, you know, passepartout, how you call it? Yes. Okay. When this is not completely dry, you know, it's just cold. You put it on the back on your passepartout, and you tape it in the four corners. And on the moment that the four corners are coming up, on that moment you tape it completely, and you put under the glass in the frame. There's just a moment you have to do it, and it stays forever flat.
Very nice.
So just like a watercolor, more or less.
Exactly. But this is, you know, this is the paper. You have a paper here. This is a watercolor. This is a watercolor, a little bit mixed with water soils, but that doesn't change so much. It's still paper of 300. It's still wet, and will be wet 1 hour more. And then, of course, if I want to frame it, I will. I wait 1 hour, and then you frame it in. Just like same watercolor. Okay, and this is the same thing, but now on canvas. So as you see, I have the same texture. I made gesso and some baby powder and some glass pearls, glass beads. And what do I need now? And that's different. I need now my medium. And what's my medium? That's well modified, of course. We'll talk about here modified linseed oil. So not too much, a little bit, you see, that's enough. And some water. So about 50-50. 50-50 is good enough. Then you need the, oh, this one is well. Oh, with the color, I need a clean one, of course. Sorry. So, okay, I take it and I make my canvas wet. So you see it's a little bit wet. I can do it on my table, or I can do it on my easel. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I cannot paint. Of course, I also paint well big sizes, and you cannot make it. I mean, you cannot paint it on your table. 150 is not possible. So it's completely the same if you have that well on your easel or you have that on your table. It doesn't matter. It stays wet 4 hours. I can do it here 4 hours. I can do everything, I can change everything, but anyhow, let's start. And I will start with the same colors. Don't make it so much difficult. So yeah, you need some small brushes, a little bit bigger brushes. So this is my choice for now. And what do you do then? I needed just a couple of drops here of water. So I do like that. And I make brush a little bit wet. Because why? Because dry brush will not give, cannot paint. So it has to be a little bit wet, a little bit. Okay, and then you start. Then you start with maybe light color. Choose on some light color, and you say, okay, this is my horizon, and this is my upper part, and I will put there my source of light here, so a little bit more warm, so maybe too yellow. Okay, take a little bit more sienna. Do it. Okay, and here this little bit more shadow part. Of course, we need a little bit same color back. So I stay with sand and water and sunshine. That I will not change because, well, otherwise we talk about different things. But let's see and compare what it's doing on canvas instead of paper. And this is my base, you know. I know here will be the source of my light. Cover that, and I see it very clearly. This is the source, and here's a reflection. So what can I do then? I can start to make some shadow, and then I choose, of course, here gray between burnt umber and French ultra, or you say maybe a little bit more warmer. Let's take some sienna there, and I say, okay, I'm satisfied here. So I start to make the base of the composition, the base. It means light and sphere. It means still. You're working to the light, and you're working to, of course, reflection of the light. So you go from the sides inside. What's left is their spot and their spot of light. It's quite simple. Okay, and you do it more darker, and here you very small. Take care. You don't, and you may not cover the light inside. I see this is my watercolor base. You know, I was watercolorist, so I take care about light. Of course, I can take some water, take some white color, and I can clean everything. You know, I can make here a light line. Or I can say, well, here I need some more sharp line between light and clouds. Or I want to do some, you know, some more dark spots. It's no problem. Even more, very, very, very dark. Little bit, something like this.
Can you remind us what is the dark color?
This is, well, French ultramarine and burnt umber and a little bit phthalo blue.
Okay.
So, because then you know what's, and that's something, well, you learn through the years. This is the flat brush. So what I do, I take some burnt umber on this side of my brush, and I take French ultramarine on the same size of my brush, and I take a little bit more cold blue, so phthalo, and then mix a little bit of them. But I have a choice now for the warmer or colder parts, because it's gray. But if you paint the same gray everywhere, it's boring. So you have warm gray and you have cold gray in one. And that's, well, you know, nice. Maybe you just take a little bit more and the other side a little bit more. And then you see, it's warmer, and then it's now it's colder. That's the way how you mix it. And that's important. Okay, so I want attention here. Here's maybe too much. Here's too sharp. I can make it soften, and I can make it here more dark. What's happened? Of course, you get more light here, there. It's more softened, and it's of course less attention to the sides. But less attention to the sides means we have to do something, otherwise it's too empty. So let's take some colder color just to cover, just to make some, I call it visual entrance. So visual entrance to the light. That's it. It's quite simple. But if I have there water, I need that even a little bit stronger. So let's do it. And I do not come to my yellow, and I do not come to my white, because I need white, yellow. Of course, I can make stronger, but anyhow, I see that now it becomes more light because we have wash from the both sides. And that's the way how you do it. Of course, then you have this is of course the harmony. I think this one is too light. I have to put it more dark. Okay, sounds better. This corner is lighter, this corner is dark. I can go and say this is the point. Here I need some dark spots. Why? They correspond with this. See this? Yeah, that's how it works. And then from here I can come inside. Here. From here, this is step inside, you make some curve, you go there. And the other side, yeah, the other side you can do it well opposite. And what's happened then? Then, of course, my good friend, that's our transparent blender. And that's what I said to John. Well, transparent blender, sorry, this is transparent blender. I have here a transparent blender. And then what I do next, I take a little bit of fast drying medium. Fast drying medium is, well, it's make more transparent. Even this is a transparent blender. I have a choice to make it, of course, my color with transparent blender stronger. I need some burnt umber, and I will take a little bit more. This is water soil. And this is a watercolor. So you have now a shadow color with transparent blender. I'm mixing here, and we say okay, and I take a little bit more, and then of course, we have a rhythm here, and rhythms go there, it goes there, and then I have the answer here coming inside with the dark spots. Continue here with the texture. This is nice. Texture is nice. Then, of course, not on the same level. No. It should be a little bit lower. Should be a little bit lower. So, what do? You continue lower, and this is the place. This is the place you need some answer. So, you need some answer there. Take a little bit more transparent blender, make it more stronger. See, here stronger. What I need here strong parts, but not under this one because then it's too boring. So I need a little bit here inside. It's much more the shape of the composition. So I put it here, and I have, in fact, I divided it in dark and light. And now, of course, take flat brush, and you can make, highlight it, see more my texture. I can do more my light, surround my light with dark. Of course, this is very important. And then I do that here and say, oh, this is wrong. This is wrong. What now? No problem. Take some cloth. You make a cloth wet. And you clean it. You clean it just like that. And what do you do then? Once again, brush. Once again, a little bit of my medium. I mean, couple of drops of linseed. Little bit of titanium white. Okay, then I can continue step by step, softening that. And I have a good base, and I have a good chance to recover everything as I did. So you cannot make mistakes. That's fantastic. Darker, more lighter, more cool, more warm, anything you want. So it's recovered. And what's of course very interesting, this is one small marker, and I can make a beautiful watercolor effects here as I want. Something like, well, that's what you're doing in watercolor. Maybe a little bit more, a little bit more blue. Okay, then you can see better. I can push it up. I can make it well outlines. I can make it well, of course, warm, less warm, with this typical watercolor effect, isn't it? If you think it's too sharp, of course, no problem. Dry brush. And it's not that sharp anymore. Or you can continue here. Or you can take this brush now again. It's a little bit dry. May not be too wet. And then you make a reflection on water. It's okay, it's nice. Maybe then you clean a little bit, but of course, always on your clothes, always on your clothes. And let me see, I need some, oh, this is not that bright. So I take pure Melchidona Sienna. I want a nice warm line there. So what I do, a little bit more water, sienna, pure sienna, a little bit yellow, and then I can open there absolutely. One very nice line. One more bright, no problem. Surround just white spot with more yellow, and your brush is a little bit more wet. You can open everything. Can you open that here? Yeah, of course. I can do that here too. It's a little bit more water. And I can wash everything. I can change everything. I can recall. It's good. Fine. It's not good. I can clean it. So that's, well, the options are you have well, about 4 hours to add, to change, to recall. And what's a funny thing also, look at here. Then you take a few drops of fast drying. Okay, fast drying here, you see. A few drops for fast drying. Painting knife, take painting knife, and then like that, you get more. I will show you a little bit more, a little bit closer. But look at what's happened. Make more texture and you get more. You see more canvas. See how it looks?
Looks super.
That's the way. And one funny thing more. One funny thing more. You make it. that's funny. That's funny. You make it, well, some things, well, a little bit wet. A few drops. And you wait for a sec. And then you open that. So you see, if you need some, I cannot say fake texture, but it's similar, similar optical, similar like a texture. You say, I need it there. Okay. But one thing more is, I say, oh, I really need here texture, not here, but a little bit higher. What do? You take, of course, once again, this one, transparent blender, but then a little bit more thick, and then color you want. You mix that 1-1. See, it's all really thick, and you can make texture. You see?
Fabulous.
It's thick enough. If you just miss it, somewhere, you can do it. Of course, if you don't want it, what do? You take your brush and in 2 or 3 steps, you can clean that again. So it's gone.
I wish we could do that with watercolor.
That's the reason this is much easier. This is much easier. Watercolor is difficult. It's not easy technique. It's the most difficult technique. This is for everybody, you know, relax, you open, you don't open, you close, you change. Say more warm, or more cold, or more blue, or more sienna. Everything you want, you can do it. And if you are not happy with that at all, you take it under the shower, put with the warm water, you take a brush and you clean everything. What do you want more?
When you're finished, do you sign your name in watercolor or oil?
Yeah, of course. Of course. Yeah, that's. I mean, this is just a simple thing, you know. But well, yeah, no serious thing. Well,
It's beautiful.
you sign it. Oh, here's water. Here's water, and if it stays like that, I can open. You see, everything was wet. I can recall. So.
Bob,
Yes.
just a canvas question.
Yeah.
The generally two types of canvas, one that's prepped for oil and one that's prepped for acrylic. Do you find that there's any difference in either of those?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. They, I think, that's also a question for John. But I think that gesso for acrylic is more fat. I don't like it because it's too, it's too sleepy. You cannot easy, of course you can paint something, but the next layer, for instance, here I know I can easily make this more warmer or more colder, this all. But with acrylic gesso, in fact, I will clean this part that will, to just push away. And here I know I can change, this is just something like a filter. I can change the filter. I can bring some more cold or something like that, or white of anything, but that will be changed too much. And that's different. Well, I think when you are used to some gesso, even you buy new canvas, I cover it with my gesso. Then I know how it works. Then I know.
So you would prefer to use an oil-based?
Yeah.
Oil-based.
Yeah. That's yeah.
Right.
That's
It makes sense.
but that's a feeling. I mean, it's all of course brushes should be soft for this. For some different things, for some different things, of course, you take some maybe. Do I have that? Yes, I have these kind of brushes. This is for acrylic, and you take this. You say, okay, well, I want here some different shapes. I want here some more expressive thing. Well, yeah, you can do it, of course. That's no problem. But that's style you want to do. Doesn't matter. I mean, it's about more impression or less impression, or everything is possible. It's just a style. The possibilities are incredible. Because why? Because I know. I make the same brush wet, and I can and I clean everything. Look at that. It's a recall. Oh, here. It's incredible. You can do it. Still, tomorrow morning, you can do the same. You cannot easily bring the new fresh paint on, but to clean, yeah. Because linseed oil is still not completely dry, so you can change your mind till tomorrow morning. You say, well, I want here some.
Hey, Bob, was your training in oil painting or watercolors? Was your original training in oils?
Yeah, Yeah, yeah. This is watercolor is not is difficult, but this is why I think that you show to people now and they try, and of course you have many hours, 2 or 4 hours to change it. At the end of the day, everybody achieves something that's, we can call it nice.
Bob, what is the name of your big blending brushes and where can people get them?
Sorry, which big blending?
What is the name of the big blending brushes you're using?
Oh yeah.
Name of them, and where can people get them?
This this is quite difficult. This is this is Holland made. This is made in the Netherlands, and that's this is in fact Chinese brush, but they don't sell it anymore.
Oh.
But I don't know in the state, but should be possible. No, they say this is acrylic. This is acrylic brush with a soft tops, and this is not made for painters. This is made for finishing. You know, at your home when you paint with acrylic inside your home, you may not paint with normal paint anymore. It should be acrylic, and then you have soft tops for finishing without lines. That's the way. So if you buy one, that's something like that. What are you doing? You see here, that's that's normal, but the top is different. The top is very soft, and that's nice, for blending. Of course, you don't have you sometimes you need different kind of brush. This is acrylic brush, and this is something like more for this kind of strong effects of maybe just to correct something, change something, to wash something. Then you cannot do it with a soft brush. You need some strong brush for this. But every brush is good. I mean, I use also Pony. This is Pony. It's very nice brush, and that's exactly So, I need just here very soft,
Awesome.
very
So with
soft
that,
brush.
Bob, I wanted to thank you for being with us today. There's a lot of questions, more questions than Angela, Gabriel, Johnny, or myself could actually relay to you. So maybe we could follow up in a couple of weeks with another session if you'd be open to that.
Oh yeah. I can imagine there are a lot of questions. Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely.
That'd be fantastic. Thank you very much. Thank you for answering the questions. Thank you for showing your technique.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for watching today.
Thank
Okay.
you.
See you all tomorrow.
Bye, everybody.
So
Ciao,
much.
ciao.
Bye,
Thank you,
ciao,
John.
ciao.
Can you
Thank
both-
you, John. Fantastic. Thank you.